Today we're talking with Rachel Zimmerman. She's an assistant professor of art history, and she's also the mom of a 3-year-old child. She's going to be sharing her experiences working from home as a faculty member with us today. So thank you so much for chatting with me today, Rachel.
Thanks for doing this.
I think this information that you have to share is really important for parents and that are working right now through the shelter in place. And I appreciate your time because I know nap time is a precious time for parents. So thank you for giving up a few minutes of your day. I wanted to start with asking you, how are you organizing your work days?
So I am among the luckiest of parents in this situation as it goes, because there are 2 of us. I do have a husband who's also at home. You know, he's not an essential worker. Things would be very different if I were on my own with a child all day. So we just trade off, and we trade off short chunks. You know, my work requires me to use my brain a lot. So I need to be able to really focus. So I do usually not more than 2 hours at a time so that I really can focus during those 2 hours. And so I usually get, you know, 1 session in the morning, then I've got nap time, and then I might get some time in the afternoon, and then after he goes to bed. And so it's not a whole lot of time that I have to really focus on work. The best time I get is when he's asleep. And so, you know, I'll let him watch lots of TV, much more TV than usual. He'll eat a lot more cookies than usual, but I do not at all ever let the boundaries of sleep budge. When it's time for a nap or time for bed, that's when it's happening. So that is basically how I manage.
And are you facilitating any live sessions with students right now?
So I've been doing mostly asynchronous, and then having kind of open office hours once a week over Zoom. And then actually this week, because it is the last week of class, I'm just having 15-minute meetings with students who want it. And actually the best thing that I've done for that is I took the time, it probably took me an hour or 2 to figure out. I set up the Calendy, which is an app that lets people schedule meetings with you. So instead of emailing students back and forth every day, I can just have my schedule up and they pick a time slot. And that has been such a huge time saver for me.
That's a great tip. And we'll definitely make sure there's a link available to that.
Yeah, and usually, I mean, it was a pain to set up. Usually I would have given up, but the reward is actually paying off.
Oh, that's great. How do you set up your workspace at home to?
So I'm really lucky again. We've got an office. And so it's upstairs. The sound travels a lot in this house through the vents, and so the playroom is right below me. So when he's down there playing, I do hear everything. But at least I do have a space that's separate. I'm not like in the corner of my bedroom or anything. Although most of the time, so I've got a laptop, so most of the time when it's not nap time, I am down in the kitchen table and trying to work whenever he's distracted by TV or the very rare moments that he's playing by himself. And that is actually something I need to work on more, is forcing him to play by himself without TV on. He's pretty good at it, especially if I do put a timer on and say, you have to give me 10 minutes and then we can play. Then he's actually pretty good about playing by himself.
That's great. And what would you say your biggest challenges are right now?
The crippling terror of not knowing when daycare will open. If I think about that and that I might be having months of this, I can't function. So I just have to not think about it and just try to get through the day and not think about the state of the world. But that's the biggest challenge, is just, it's hard. And knowing that it could be months like this is really, really tough. Kind of more, the other things that I struggle with is my child not eating anything that isn't sugar. And because anytime that I'm not actively doing stuff with him, I'm working. It's very hard to remember to take care of myself. You have no break. I left a load of laundry in the washer for a week, and it's really gross. And so like basic things like that are kind of getting left behind because there's just too much to do.
It sounds like you're okay mentally with some of that stuff though, and letting things go in some spaces, or are you just
some days are better than others? No, I'm very good at knowing that I can't do everything, and I'm already a person who is used to mess. And so, yeah, okay, my house is filthy, but I just don't care. And yes, my child has been wearing the same clothing for like 3 days, but I don't care. I've been taking showers. That's good enough. So yeah, my expectations are low, and I'm fine with that. And it just kind of depends on the day, whether I'm okay or not. Work-wise, I'm okay, especially now that it's the week before finals, and I am just kind of mostly responding to student emails over and over and over again, reassuring them about what they're doing. If it was, a few weeks ago when I was more kind of actively teaching, things were rougher. But I'm sort of hanging in there for now, at least.
In a previous conversation that we had, you mentioned that you are a member of a lot of parent groups. Could you talk about how contacts with other parents have helped you?
Yeah, okay. Well, so this is kind of a long story. So back when I had my child, nobody told me that babies don't know how to sleep. I thought parents were just tired because babies wake up like once or twice or 3 times at night to sleep. And so I didn't know that if you nurse to sleep, then they'll wake up 10 times a night and you just will not sleep until you're so sleep deprived that you vomit a lot. So I finally found a book that was really helpful and read it 5 times, and joined the Facebook group for that book, and was helping people so much with their sleep that I was made a moderator. So I'm kind of friends with now this group of baby sleep moderators that I talk to on my phone every single day. I haven't ever met any of them in person, but among them there's early childhood specialists, educators, middle school teachers. So I have a really good, solid kind of mom group that I talk to every single day in my phone, who have a lot of different areas of expertise. And that has been very, very helpful to have that supportive network, because it's hard to find that on the internet, because there are a lot of corners of the internet that are, there's so many mom groups on the internet, but so many of them are narrow-minded, I suppose, and they have like one approach that you're allowed to take. And if you kind of deviate at all, you're kind of being massacred. The internet, because of the anonymity, people can be really mean. But so having those, 20 people that I talk to is really helpful.
Well, just in case there's any new parents out there facing that same sleep issue, would you mind sharing the name of the group?
Yeah, so Precious Little Sleep. And actually, if there are CSU students or staff or faculty who are dying because their baby or toddler isn't sleeping, I would be very happy to help. It's a hobby of mine to fix that, because sleep is important for all of us, especially now, for mental health and physical health, for your immune system to work. So yeah, that's, cookies and TV, not the best things. There's a lot of them in my house right now, but we also get our sleep. So at least we're balancing it out.
The balance. Well, let's finish on a high note. Would you talk about some of your biggest personal wins during this time that we've been off campus, and any lessons that you've learned over time?
I never knew that I would be able to do this, but I did run a mile the other day by running back and forth, kicking a ball with my child. So, yay health. And I've had fair success in Zoom meetings, having him sit on my lap and playing with my phone. I just hit the mute, and that's worked really well, because then, I'm not wasting precious time. And I can kind of multitask that way. As long as he's got my phone, he's quiet, and so I can pay attention to the meeting. So that's been good. He finally decided that he would bake with me. So we've been making some cakes with like healthy-ish ingredients snuck in, so that maybe he's not only eating sugar. So overall, we're doing sort of okay. Yeah, yeah. I would be really happy if he would eat something other than sugar. But
And have you learned any lessons, like made any adjustments over time, or picked up any tips that you'd like to share?
definitely. So one of the things that I do is I have Google Docs on my phone so that I can work from my phone while he's on my lap or while I'm putting the lids on markers over and over again. And so I usually do this. I actually typed up my notes for this on my phone while he was playing with me. And I usually write my syllabi that way. So anything that isn't like a ton of typing, I can just do on my phone. And so that is really helpful because, you know, then those little tiny bits of time during the day, I can actually do something useful.
Well, I have to say you look great. You look rested. You look very pulled together.
That's
So
what happens when you leave all your laundry in the dryer, in the washing machine, that you can't wear the clothing you usually wear. You have to pull out the nice clothing.
something fancy from the way back. Well, I certainly appreciate your time, and we'll make sure that we have links up to your Facebook group and to the Calendly app as
Yeah,
well.
it's been so helpful.
Thank you so much for your time
All right,
today,
thank you.
Rachel.